restraint, caught up in the games they play. High-speed chases gone awry, serious turns into pie in the sky. Just out of jurisdiction, laughter and a conviction. Beneath the badge of misguided fiction, here comes the twisted depiction.
Getting old is getting old, though.
It is.
I'm tired. I told Lisa the other day, I said, this is the first time in a long time I woke up without an ailment. I was like, my toes weren't hurting. My feet, my knees weren't hurting.
Everything was good.
My shoulder, I was like, hey, that's fleeting. It took about 10 minutes for everything to warm back up. I think I was just froze together. Then that day I went and had my tooth pulled, and it didn't hurt as bad. I was like, you stuck all those needles in there and paint, I was like, give me the gas. They were like, well, that's going to cost you another $90 plus 30 more minutes of your time. Well, I was getting nervous sitting in there, so I was like, let's go.
Yeah, it was $90 for my ease and comfort. Yeah,
nah, let's just pull it. Oh gosh, you ready?
Yep. All right. Welcome back to another episode of Just Out of Jurisdiction. If you're back with us from the first episode, then we've got another good episode for you. If you're just showing up for the first time, then stick with us and enjoy the conversations we have. We've got T-Dot's back with us. I'm here, of course. And then we've got a special guest for you that I think everybody's going to really enjoy.
We shall see.
We shall see.
I think everybody will enjoy his stories and everything.
The greatest storyteller. I'd say 75% of this is true, 100% of the time.
60% of the time it works 100% of the time.
Yeah, we're honored to have Mr. Doug Thomas in with us. How many years have you?
26 years.
26 years
altogether. Yeah.
I've fortunate enough to probably got to spend 10 to 15 years of that.
Oh yeah.
Together, working together. It started off weird. I think when Doug came over to the agency that we both retired from, I think I might have been a supervisor, so I got to actually supervise him, and then that quickly flopped where he became the lieutenant and the captain, and I worked with him. But Doug is a hero of mine. I ain't gonna lie, my mentor, and just all around, just good person, good to be around. I learned a lot of my leadership style from Doug. When it's time to be serious, be serious. When it's time to cut loose and have fun, absolutely have fun. There's nothing more hard in policing than sitting there on a long, boring night shift when the snow's falling. So we watched plenty of good movies together while we couldn't get out. So we enjoyed probably, I don't know, a lot of night shift work together. A lot of just the shenanigans that happens on a shift. We've seen a lot. He's seen more, and I guess where I want to start is, where did you start off policing at?
I started off at the Rockcastle County Sheriff's Office, and the story behind that was, I always wanted to try to dip into law enforcement, and prior to that, I was a meat cutter at a local market there.
Got to start somewhere.
You do, and don't get me wrong, I enjoyed that job very much. And
did you get into that? Because I had a buddy that went to college, and he worked for, I don't know, meat cutting at like Kroger or something, just because he wanted to learn how to process his own meat. Yeah, honestly, how to.
Well, I didn't have that in mind.
You just need money.
Yeah, I was just working.
It was a job.
It was a job, and now I wish I'd have paid more attention to it back then, because this day and time you might need that skill. You know what I'm saying?
I know.
But and I talked to the sheriff. Me and him were, we were good friends, and he came to me one day and he said, "Man, you're I don't know how he talks. He talks like that right there with his teeth closed. Pipe in his mouth all the time. He said, Doug, he said, would you want to work at the sheriff's office? I said, well, yeah. I said, you know, what would I be doing? He said, well, we need a bailiff right now. So I started that. I think that was in July of 91, 93, somewhere in that time frame somewhere. And so I was working part-time with the sheriff's office, but I still had the full-time job But I worked, then a new owner came in and took the store over, so I got put on like a third shift, and we stayed open all night, which is unheard of because we always closed at 6 o'clock every day. So
Cutting edge back then.
cutting edge, going, you know, all three shifts. You know, you got 24-hour service at a supermarket.
Wow.
In a small town of Mount Vernon with a population of, 5,000 maybe. If it's that much. And
One traffic light.
at that time,
Yes.
I don't even think we had a traffic light. We had a blinking light. And that was at 150 and 25.
Yeah.
So,
That didn't even put you in the heart of downtown.
no. That was on
Yes.
the north or
It was the bypass.
the bypass, yeah. But anyway, I started bailiffing and working the courts a couple days a week. And then he wanted me to work weekends. Now, at Carter's, we worked, I think it was 8-hour shifts, but maybe 10. I don't remember. But anyway, I was off on the weekends, and it was Saturday and Sunday. So he said, would you care to, do patrol or
start working
just
the road.
working the road on weekends? I said, yeah, I'll give it a go. Now, let me put you back. Now, prior to this, in this time, this was in the early 90s, the law enforcement, especially on the sheriff's side in the state of Kentucky, there was no standards, so to speak. So any good old boy could be a deputy.
They weren't sending them to the academy.
No
right?
academy training whatsoever, and you
just
could
had to be
go if you
sworn
want.
in.
It wasn't required. It wasn't mandated. So
You just had to be sworn in and you were good to go.
you was good to go. And I never will forget the first weekend I worked. I drummed up a uniform. Of course, I had a uniform, but it's big bar and steel back in the
Right.
day.
Yeah.
Had to provide your own weapon and
Yeah.
all that stuff. So didn't have a car. So Shirley said, "No, you need to come over to the house this weekend and pick up a car." And Shirley and the sheriff at that time, he owned all the vehicles, but he leased them to the county.
Smart man.
Yeah. So I went over to his house, and I'll never forget it. He come walking out, and he had his key. He threw me the keys. He said, "Now, good luck out there." now, let me mind that I've never
No training,
ever.
no academy, nothing yet.
I had a sense of what was going on. Jimmy Silvers was a state trooper up there, and he's a real close friend of mine, and he was my mentor, and he kind of showed me the ropes of, as a training officer, say a FTO. Now, that was prior to even, I'd ride with Jimmy prior to even me being sworn as a deputy.
So you had seen kind of how everything.
I seen kind of how everything worked, and I had a, understanding of how everything was. So he threw me the keys and said, "Good luck." And I hopped in. I said, "This is going to be fun." So I got on the radio, and of course I had a little bit of understanding of what to say. So I said, SO6, that was the number I was designated as. And he said, I said, SO6, 10-8, and 10-4, blah, blah, blah. And, I had probably hadn't left the sheriff's house. It probably, maybe an hour later, SO6, go ahead. Got a 1046 on Cove Branch Road. I said,
Which is a
which was
Wreck
a,
with
which
wreck with
or
a
accident with
accident
injury.
with
accident
injuries,
with injuries, if you don't know what that is. But so I said, okay. So I turn on the sirens and lights. Man, I'm pumped up and get down to the scene. It's a little one-lane road. If you know where Cove Branch Road is, it's just a tiny little road. And two vehicles meet head on, bam. So you got to kind of, in our line of work, we kind of look at the scene and kind of determine who may be at fault, so to
Right.
speak. But on that road, there It was, you know, you didn't have nowhere to go. You either hid or you were off in a field somewhere. So, but anyway, I took that. I got down there and I was taking information, doing this and that. Well, I thought I had everything, so I left and went on and got to the sheriff's office and I hollered for Jimmy. He come up. He said, "I should kind of help you out." And he said, "You got that?" Well, I didn't have half the information I needed. I said, "Oh my Lord!" So I had to go back and track down all these people and try to get the information. But that was my first experience as a deputy, and it was pretty wild. And but I had, you know, like I said, I had Jimmy Silvers, state trooper there, and there was other officers in the area that had been through the academy, and they kind of showed me what to do. And
I remember, you know, like when you're on field training, you always had somebody, you know, kind of there. Even out of the, you know, I didn't have.
Yeah, you
I think
always
I rode
had
with.
somebody to kind of
I rode
rely
with
on to ask.
maybe 2 times in my life had I been in a police car prior to me getting hired. So before I went to academy, you know, the city police didn't have you didn't go before. You didn't go out and learn your craft before they sent you to the academy, then you came out and worked. So I remember the first time by myself after 13, 14 weeks, whatever, you know, our PTO, FTO training was. And I remember being so, like, my first call that I answered, I was like, go ahead, 10 foot. You know, and at this point, I'd answered hundreds of calls.
yeah,
But the first one by yourself, you're like,
Just lost in the sauce.
and it was a serve a warrant on a guy at a hotel, and he was working in. And I walked in the door and lost all the words I was supposed to ask. I couldn't remember who I was there for. I was like, "Can we help you?" I just stood there with a blank face, like, "Oh." I just remember being that, like, I'd done it, been there, done that.
yeah.
But by yourself, that's a whole different ballgame. So, you know, I was like, you know, it took a little a minute to gather myself, but I was like, this is who I need.
It's just mental, though. I mean, that
you
part
put-
of it, because you don't have that fallback anymore to look at and say,
Am I right?
Yeah.
Am I in the what am I doing here?
which that's the nature of the entire job.
It is. Yes.
So we, you know, once you gather yourself and you know, then it's on. You remember that first call, and you remember, you know, a whole lot in between. But the funny stuff is what, and the horrible stuff that always stands out. The things, the bad things you've seen.
Yeah.
But I, you know, we've talked about how, you know, the job is something that just kind of goes. Who knows where a call is going to take?
Exactly.
And you never know.
No.
Let's.
No, the public dictates what your job's going to be that day.
That's true.
And it's
Yeah, and you never know.
it's a crapshoot, really, on
Yeah.
what you're going to have.
I told Dylan it was kind of like being in you're an actor in a movie.
Yeah,
And
that's a good way to look at it.
And you never know what kind of movie you're going to be in. It could be a comedy, it could be a horror show, it can be a drama. It's all mixed in together. So, and the public dictates what that movie's going to be.
Right.
So yeah, it's a very exciting job. I mean, I loved every minute of my career. It was wonderful. Starting out was, you know, on the rocky side because, you know, and get this, I'm in Rockcastle County, a population of 16,000 maybe in the whole county. But you were the law.
It.
You were it.
That was it,
That's
yeah.
all there was. And I mean, I didn't have nobody working with me as another deputy. I mean, you were one person on a shift,
And a trooper may have been who knows how far away.
and a trooper may have been working or he may not have
Yeah,
been.
he could have went in.
At midnight, they may not have had anything.
My shift started at like 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and there's many nights that when I worked, I mean this is truth. I worked probably 2 years, 7 days a week. That's no lie. Never took a day off, and most of those days were 14, 16-hour days.
Yeah,
Wow.
But now, I loved my job. And there's a good friend of mine, another trooper there. I don't think he'd care for me mention his name, was Steve Long. He said, I love my job so much I do it for free. And that's the way we felt back then, because we had a purpose to try to serve the people, do the right thing, and it made you feel good. And we hopefully made the people feel good that you were out there doing your job, and they wanted you to be there. And that was the biggest complaint, I think, that the sheriff's office had over the years prior to Shirley Smith taking over as sheriff, was you never saw nobody. You never saw a deputy sheriff. You never saw the only time you saw the sheriff was when you went in to pay your taxes or do something like that.
There was no community policing.
There was no, there was nothing like that. And Shirley I think he really changed the way law enforcement worked, as far as the sheriff's office goes in Rockcastle County, because at that time, he eventually built up, and we had 5 or 6 deputies, and so it was pretty good. And,
so my first meeting of Doug's when I just come back from deployment after 9/11. Me and a buddy of mine got his name Darryl Zanet, and he and I were roommates in Belgium, and we was in the National Guard and got sent back. And the first time I met Doug was at our reunion, basically coming home, like a welcome home party.
At the Optimist Club.
At the Optimist Club.
Yes.
And that was our first meeting. We hit it off from right there. I think you'd moved then to Laurel County.
Yeah, when did you come back?
So that was like in October, November, somewhere in that time frame of 2002. 2002.
Okay.
So
yeah, I came to the Laurel County Sheriff's Office in 2001, I think.
Yeah.
Somewhere in that
So
time.
and I know Darryl he'd started in Mount Vernon or Rockcastle County and
I
moved
worked
up.
with Darryl.
And that's how. But that's y'all's friendship led to our friendship, and we I remember thinking, man, I'd like to work for them, and tried to get hired on at the sheriff's office in Laurel County. So the way it worked out after I got back from deployment, the city of London was hiring, and that's I'd put in while I was in Belgium, put in like an application, and some of the guys went to the state police, interviewed and got hired, and then probably 2007 you came over to the London Police Department.
It was January 2007.
Yeah, or 8, somewhere in that time frame, because
it was 7.
yeah, because election stuff out there. So we got to work together till you retired in
2019,
and
December.
we spent a lot of our time on night shift together.
We did, yeah.
And I have no idea how this happened and why it was us together. But one of the greatest stories, and I'm gonna set the stage, because there's no rhyme nor reason, and this is just like being in a movie, how things happen. So Doug and I get, for whatever reason, I think you were supervising. You might have been lieutenant at the time, and I just came in. I was working the schools, and it was like summertime. So you were like, "You're going with me to this meeting." I was like, "Okay." So,
yeah, I remember this one. Yeah.
So you're driving, and I don't know why you're not in your normal cruiser. It may have been getting fixed. There's something going on, or maybe you were switching over to that car.
No, I wasn't switching over. They was anyway. Well, I had just decided we'll drive the pool car or the whatever.
It had more. It was
it wasn't a place that didn't have all the stuff in. No cage or nothing like it. It was just open.
So he grabs the pool car, which looks like Papa's, old LTD back in the day. This is I'm gonna say it's a 07, 08 Crown Vic, the greatest police cars ever made. But anyway, this one didn't have all the things. The first thing Doug said was, as we're leaving to go to this, he said, "We're going to a pipeline meeting,
Yeah,
some
something
kind of
to
training."
do with gas. Yeah.
Well, pipeline to me, because I came from the interdiction world, I thought we're going down to a pipeline, like an interdiction training, like a drug pipeline. So we get there, and we might have been the only 2 cops there.
First of all, I made a mistake by following the directions from Google, and we wound up in some little neighborhood.
We were up.
Where's this place at?
We were just going to the next town down in Corbin, but we ended up way lost. I was like, "This ain't it. This ain't it." yeah, it is. We're following Google. We're right. I'm right. And I said, no. We end up at some apartment. I was like, I don't think this is it, man. We're going to get killed. So we finally make it to the pipeline thing, and there's a whole lot of, I guess there was probably 10% fire department. The rest of them were actual people that worked on like utility companies.
Yeah.
Huge crowd.
Oh yeah.
I think we had to like take they gave us stuff to like take tests with. I was like, what if we? Yeah. And they did feed us, so it was awesome.
Yeah.
So the stage, here we are. No business being at this meeting besides like if there's a gas line that's leaking,
don't get near it.
Don't get near it. That's what I learned from this pop, from this
yeah.
thing. So we're leaving. The meeting is over, and the radio comes out.
Now, mind you, we're on the second exit of Corbin.
We're on I-75 at the 25-mile marker.
25-mile marker in Whitley County.
We're not even on it yet. We're getting ready to merge onto the interstate when the call comes out. I don't know how things happen, how they happen, but Doug's like, so it comes out as a reckless driver in a pickup truck, like an old Chevrolet pickup truck, passing people erratically on both sides of the median, right? And as we're getting on the ramp, this call comes out, and they say near the 25-mile marker. Doug looks over. He's like, "What's the chances?" You know, go ahead, man. It's funny.
Anyway, we're getting on, and lo and behold, that vehicle, the description of that, it passes us.
You're in the right place at the right time.
I said, huh? There's that
I'm going to say wrong time.
Yeah. I said, well, there's that vehicle right there.
I was like, no, that's not it.
So anyway.
Because Doug's driving.
Yeah.
And the whole, all right, let me go back just a second. He'd already said, listen, this car we're driving down here, as he said, it's bald tires. He'd said bologna skins for the tires.
I said, we're riding on bologna skins.
And it don't have brakes.
Oh, no.
They weren't good. I mean,
So here's the truck. Doug's like, there it is. I said, no, that ain't it. As it passes somebody in the
You're hoping
shoulder,
it wasn't it.
I was praying it wasn't it, because I had this feeling. I had, and Doug's like, I'm like, we're still out of our jurisdiction, just a little bit. We had mutual aid and stuff like that, but we're
interagency agreement.
Yeah, that's probably
we just 3 or 4 miles out.
Yeah, we're real
Not
close
much,
to Law
yeah.
County.
That was nothing unusual for Doug, though.
Yeah, I said.
Oh well, no, I got stories about that too. So we had, so we see the truck. Doug's like, I'm gonna stop it up here. I was like, I don't even know how you turn them lights on it. I don't remember first. Had to reach up and turn the lights on that car, but it was quite the ordeal because when we stop it,
it pulls over.
Yeah, it pulled over.
Yeah,
and here goes. I think I may have jumped out.
We started to get out, I think, and about the time we did, he decides, nah.
Yeah,
I'm
I think
as soon as he seen the doors popped.
And then he flew the double bird, or just single birded us, and he was gone, and the chase was on.
Yeah.
Now I remember thinking, and Doug quickly reminded us, this car's on bologna skins. I was like, well, do we have to chase this? But that, we wouldn't let this get
that police in you.
You can't not.
You cannot, yeah. If you'd been in Tennessee, you would have chased them.
Right.
So, but anyway, we're going down the road, and we may embellish a little bit on this, but anyway, I think Travis said or something, hand me that chopper.
We took lines. For some reason, I had taken. And it might have been one of ours, yours, mine. We'd taken one of the rifles out and put it in the back seat of that car. And Doug says he's trying to put on a seatbelt. No, he said take the wheel. We're cruising. We're at 100 miles an hour on not horribly crazy, mind you. Older car, no brakes, no tires. I've got the wheel. I'm steering from this side,
That's right, yeah.
from the passenger seat as he's trying to get situated for this car chase. And I pick up the radio, so I'm calling the pursuit because we have nobody in it. And I remember passing a Kentucky vehicle enforcement guy, one of the CVE guys. They were on the side of the road. It was Fuzz. Everybody's got nicknames. So Fuzz was on the side of the road. I remember seeing it as clear as day. You taking back over the piloting at this point. He says, I see he was doing an inspection on a truck or something. All I see is the paperwork start flying. He jumps in his car and he's trying to catch back up. This guy starts maneuvering around. He hits somebody. I mean, we're in. So now at this point, I'd say we're 3 to 4 miles into the chase.
Yeah, we're in deep right now.
Yeah. At some point, I turned around and we stole the line from old brother where art there. I said, hand me that chopper. Yeah, I remember thinking, I was like, what are we doing? But we were calm.
It was so calm. It was the most, the pursuit was just like everyday occurrence, you know.
Yeah, we're just driving.
Just driving along. There was no tension.
No.
I mean, I don't think. I
Didn't
mean, I
have to
felt
worry
good.
about
Yeah.
You know, after that first initial, I remember taking a big deep breath. Okay,
Once
let me
that,
call this out.
first adrenaline dump, and
Yeah.
then you're good to go after that.
So we're cruising up towards our town that we police in, towards London. So it's about. It don't get hairy till we get back to our own agency.
That's right.
Tries to jump in, and I remember.
Black and white sitting in the middle of the interstate.
Yes, I about lost it. I was like, what are you and I were both supervising. Like, what are they doing?
Yeah.
These guys they got death wishes or something. I don't know what was going on, what went through their head. They were trying to block the exit ramp but they're all over the main road. And I'm like, this guy don't care no more. And I remember it's getting on north of that, and then it started trading paint and stuff like that with different agencies. I think the sheriff's office got in. And I was begging Doug. I was like, can we let's go turn around. And now we're in it too deep now. We started, we're going to finish
At this
it.
point, you got to go. So.
Now, in hindsight, I wished I had a stop.
Yeah.
And let it went on.
That pursuit went from the 25 to the
59
exit. So it was
No. Yeah, it was a 59.
Yeah, we got out. It was the first Rock Castle
Yeah.
or Mount Vernon exit.
Yeah.
And I remember, it's not the farthest that I've ever heard, but boy, when you're in there and you're at one point, all the marked units start passing us, and I remember just waving
We're
at guys
just holding back,
as they go through. And that guy was wild. Now
He was.
He I don't know what his deal was, but that was one of the greatest car chases. Funniest, just the being able to stay calm through the whole drive, and
it's just like you
make jokes
like,
while we're doing it. Like
it's just like you was in pursuit every day. It's just like a routine thing.
I don't know why, and it may have been because we were together.
That does change a lot because
I did not want to be there though. I'm riding shotgun, and I did not. It's an uncomfortable feeling not being in control when you're chasing somebody, even though if I was the second unit and he had led that, I would have been calling the pursuit anyway. So it's like, I think what helped it was I didn't have that responsibility of driving, and my sole responsibility is just contacting the other units where we're at, what's our speed, where we're, what's going on with this guy. And Doug, all he had to do was drive that.
It broke
that
up the
hoopty.
multitask.
Yeah,
having
so
to do both at the same
I
time.
always found patrolling, together, two in a car, you find a whole lot more things.
You do. Yeah.
And, they do that in bigger cities, but in our town, in our county, it's hard to do because you want to maximize your coverage.
You do, yes.
So single unit stuff. But
Now, we always had 3. You had to have 3 out on a shift at all times.
Well,
But we piggybacked most calls. So if you got out on something or a traffic stop or something, you were going to at least have 2 officers on that.
right. But what I'm saying is you're riding double.
Yeah.
You get in a whole lot more. You see a whole lot more because say I'm driving
You
and
got
Doug
2
is
sets of eyes.
he's over there looking at things, and I remember going around the back of a business and was looking at the doors, and somebody's riding with me and said, "Did you see that guy sitting on the?" No idea. get out with him. The guy was probably getting ready to break in. We'd had thefts over there. I was doing my job.
But you would have missed everything.
I missed the right
because-
side.
Right.
At night shift, and the way the lights are, you may not catch. It shadows people really well. But more eyes, the better. So I was always.
It's a safer
It is.
environment.
It is a safer environment to patrol.
With
double.
2 people. But like you said, the area that we live, it doesn't dictate that.
No.
So
And when you can, it's fun. I remember. Listen, we used to go on foot patrols. You remember our foot patrol days?
yeah.
That was some of the funnest.
Yeah.
We accidentally get into more stuff because it'd be a nice night out, and we'd be like, let's go foot patrolling down Main Street.
Yeah.
We'd find more open doors and just get it, people.
It was
walked up on domestics and everything in the world.
And we also got exercise a little bit too.
Yeah.
I remember
Dual
I
purpose.
remember Jesse Williams going with us one night, and
we, for whatever reason, we went one of the worst hills you could take in this
Thirteenth
town.
Up to
Street.
Up to the
13th
cemetery.
yeah,
Yep.
and
Why we did? I think we were just messing with him because we never went that way, ever. And we went way up that.
Jesse
hill.
didn't like walking up a hill.
Oh, and that probably about killed him.
we had a lot of our foot patrol days and night shift, and it wasn't like we were just out goofing. We were actually like getting into things, finding doors open.
Observing and looking. Back in that time, we didn't have many walkers in the town like we do now.
No.
So to speak.
Now, from the time that I worked, if it was nice weather outside, then the mosquitoes were out constantly. So, I mean, it was...
Mosquitoes.
Yeah, the mosquitoes. That's always buzzing around.
Yeah.
When do you feel like? So you started in the 90s. When do you feel like? When were the big changes in policing, in your opinion? Because I mean, the 90s had to be more.
Well, like I said, it's a different time. It's a different era. Let me put. I don't know how to. I would say probably 2008, or maybe a couple years before, when things really started to change. I mean, of course, you had social media is coming on pretty big, and everybody's got cell phones. Yeah. Now, back in my day, we had cell phones, but we didn't have cameras. We didn't have all that stuff. But now all that started changing.
The recording devices.
Yes. So I think when we got into the technological age of policing is when everything started to change, so to speak.
And some of that's a change for the good.
It is.
Some of it's a change for the bad. It's
you either change and roll with it, or you got to go.
From a community standpoint, the recording devices, body cameras, all that. I mean, from a civilian standpoint, it's great. From a law enforcement
standpoint, it is. But one of the things that people need to know is the hardest change I saw when we started wearing body cams is it didn't matter what you say.
Right.
It's only
we saw that in court a lot.
Yeah, it's only what you recorded. So
if you didn't have body cam footage, they were like, we're just.
So that little blurb that they got, that little cutout section of that a defense is going to show, doesn't always dictate like what the officer was seeing before, or the emotion of it all.
Exactly.
And it's not
you don't
wide
take
view,
in it.
so you may be looking to the right and see somebody with a gun, but your body cam's mounted on your chest, so it's only seeing what's in front of you.
I wasn't a big fan of body cams back in the day, and don't get me wrong. I mean, you do your job. I've always tried to do my job the best that I could. I always held my integrity above anything else. Because once you break that, you're done. Mm-hmm. And so body cams, this is not saying that you're doing something wrong, but the body cam doesn't, like you said, doesn't capture the whole picture.
Right.
It captures
whatever's in that field of view.
Whatever's in that field of view. And like you said, prior to that, before you activated that, you don't, you know what you're going to, but when you get there and you hit that body cam, but now it's prior to that, what's going on before you get there. So it's, I think body cams are fine. I mean, does that make a police officer do his job better? I think he's going to do his job regardless if he's got a body cam on or not. and he's going to do it the best way he can.
And I think if you've got someone who's a bad police officer, they're going to show up as a bad police officer on body cam. If
Exactly.
you've got
That
someone
doesn't
who's a good
change.
police officer 100% of the time,
Yeah.
then it's not going to change anything. But
Because a lot of times you don't even you forget that body cam's even on.
yeah,
Yeah, it's just a tool.
which is not
You
always
reach
a
out-
good thing.
And it's
either.
not always a good thing. I've
You
left
reach
my
up
body
your-
cam on many times and be get in a car and I'll be singing and
I had to delete footage one time because I left it on and went and peed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, you know,
I don't know how many memos I had to put to Eric. Hey, I left my camera on while I was peeing.
yeah, and that was
I remember one time.
and I think that was part of the deal of having body cams. What about our privacy aspect
Yeah.
of this?
Well, I'd taken my uniform off, threw it over in a chair in the bathroom, got in the shower and everything. I got out and I seen that little green light on, and I said, "Oh God!" So I just texted Stallard. I was like, "I'm sorry, buddy, but you're gonna have to review this
It
one."
happens. It happens. I know one of the funniest getting caught on camera. We was working a road check, seatbelt or a DUI checkpoint. I don't know. You might have been there. We was at 16th and Fall Street. Nice area for us to do that. Had some parking lots around it, and man, I was busting. I had to go really bad, and so I was like, man, I don't. Somebody had arrested somebody's writing a ticket, and we couldn't just shut down, and I couldn't just leave and run up to the PD or to the store or something to go. So I went around the side of the corner at a business as an accountant. And, I went, did my business, got back. The next day, I went to church with him. He said, man, I got some footage of you. He was like,
You always had to keep an eye out. You always, you
well,
could do
it
that
was before.
360 scan.
This
before
was
you-
before everybody had cameras on their doors.
Yeah.
This was. He was cutting edge. He was protecting his. And I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, I'd say that happens quite often, and you don't know it.
Oh,
Now,
yeah.
when that all started happening, every time I'd get out, police officers, you don't always have the luxury to run to the PD or the
Yeah.
sheriff's office to use the
No,
bathroom.
we had our spots.
So you had your spots, but every time I would be in that situation, I'd get out and I'd start looking all around.
Yeah.
Because you were aware
Yeah.
that there may be a camera here.
And
somewhere.
if you were peeing on the side of the road or something, you had to do that. You had to be sneaky. Pull out your flashlight,
Yeah,
look like you was
yeah,
looking
yeah.
for something.
Oh, yeah. I recall I was at the sheriff's office at Laurel County, and I was out on Dog Branch or way out. You know where I'm talking? It's out on 192.
Yeah.
You're out there, and
Towards
so
the
I'm in,
lake.
yeah. So I'm in the middle of nowhere. I mean, this is rough, not rough country, but it was just very rural. No houses about nowhere. This is like 2:00 in the morning. Well, I'm out there and belly pain hits me. I said, I'm gonna have to go.
Uh-oh.
So, and then this is true. Most deputies, you'd open your trunk and you had a bungee cord strapped across the back of it, and you had a roll of paper towels, and you probably had 2 rolls of toilet paper. And
Yeah, City Boys didn't have to.
they didn't
that
have,
problem.
yeah, they didn't
No.
have that problem.
Not the belly pain ones.
Yeah. So anyway, I said, oh God. So I'm on this little dirt road, and I pull off to the side, and it's like 2:00 in the morning. And I get out and get all my stuff off. I'm throwing it in the back seat. I always I'd open the back door and just throw my gun belt and all that stuff in that back seat. Then I go back to the back, pop the trunk, and I'll just say I would hold on to the back of the vehicle. Well, I just did get settled down to do my business, and I see headlights. I go, what? No, can't be. It's at 2:00 in the morning. I said, oh God. Well, you got to cut it off and
Yep.
try to get all your crap back together. I mean, I was rushing. I was in there putting my gun belt on and getting everything squared up. And about the time I got it all together, this car pulls up. Well, it stops. I said, hey, what y'all doing out here at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning? Well, there's 2 females in there, both of them drunker than badgers. I said, oh, God. Anyway, I gathered them up and run all through the test, wound up with the DUI and AI, put them in the back seat. And still yet, I'm not done.
No.
I need to finish my business.
Yeah.
So anyway, I get them all to the back to the sheriff's office to get them all booked in, and I take them to the jail. And man, I'm back to the sheriff's office in a heartbeat, and I sat down on the throne, so to speak, and it was history after that. But yeah, you get into those situations, you never know what's going to. Like I said, you never know what's going to happen in this line of work. And
there's nothing. The lack of sleep. That still to this day. When I go in my basement at my house, I look for my couch to go like it's bedtime.
Yeah.
It's weird the patterns and the habits and just the.
It took me a long time to get out of that night shift.
And I liked
routine.
it though.
Yeah.
I
did
liked.
too.
Oh, I think
liked the
night shift was probably anybody that does place work needs to work. No, you miss a lot because you don't see everything. If you work night shift your entire career, you're not going to get the full aspect of law enforcement. That's my personal opinion, because there's so much goes on during the day that you don't realize. Because night shift is usually pretty calm. There's not a whole lot.
But if you did
when
get
it
a call,
is.
But when it was usually bad.
yeah, bad or interesting or something.
Or interesting,
yeah.
yes.
One of my favorite stories I want you to tell is the Wheelie board incident of the young man.
Oh yeah. I remember that very well. I said, "Oh God, I may be in trouble over this one." But anyway, a call comes out. And I'm at the PD at this point in time in my career.
For some reason, I wasn't working that night. I was my off night. We would work 2 or 3 nights together.
Yeah.
But this is the night I was off, so
Yeah.
I wish I was there.
But we get a call at the trailer park,
The trailer hood.
the trailer hood.
Yeah.
And I don't remember what it was. It may have been a domestic or someone. They hear somebody fussing or arguing or something in that
Something
nature.
common, very
Something common. But anyway, I take off from the back lot and I'm headed out and I get on 5th Street, or not 5th Street, but I get Whitley Street? No, it's not Whitley Street.
Where was you at?
On Sue Bennett College side.
It's 5th Street.
Fifth. Okay, I'm on 5th Street. Well, if you know where 5th Street is, you go up, when you come to the college, it kind of goes up a little hill and it drops back over a hill. And so I come up over that hill, and I'm running pretty good speed, and it's 1:30 or 2 o'clock in the morning. And I top the hill, and I do. Here's this guy on a skateboard, right in the middle of the road, going down on a skateboard. I go, what the hell? What's he doing? So I'm in a hurry, so I hit my air horn on my cruiser.
He was oblivious to you being there.
He was oblivious to me even being there.
The cool thing, we used to have, this was before body cams, but we had
dash
cams.
Had dash cams in there.
As soon as he hit that air horn, it activated that.
Well, no, I think I may have had the lights on. I don't remember. It was like I said, one state trooper would say, "I'm running limited signal 9," which means you got my lights on, but I don't have a siren on.
Right.
So anyway, when I top the hill, there this guy is. He's going. He's doing a good job going down that.
Was he on the yellow line?
He was on the yellow line. So, and anyway, I hit my air horn on the. If air horn is just another sound that you got in your switch panel. It sounds like a.
It's
doesn't
similar
sound
to
like
what a semi truck would do.
Similar, but it doesn't sound that way. It's more of a coarser tone.
It's a distinctive.
But
louder.
Yeah.
Runs through the PA instead of the.
So when I hit that, this guy starts doing the wobble.
He got the speed wobbles.
Yeah, he starts going from side to side. Well, I'm back. I'm following him, and of course this is all on camera. And next thing I know, man, he 46s out. He's just flopping end over end. I said, "Oh God!"
But the funniest.
But anyway, I pull up to him and I get out of the car. I said, "Are you all right?" Yeah. I said, "What the hell are you doing out here?" And I couldn't think of the name of a skateboard.
Yeah.
And I said, "What are you doing out here on these wheelie boards out here in the middle of the night?"
The video of that was priceless, though. I don't know where it's at.
It's on file somewhere. I'm sure.
I'm guaranteed.
None of that stuff gets deleted, so it's there somewhere.
But that was. They showed it to me the next day, and I just Jordan Hopkins.
Them old wheelie boards.
Yeah, he aggravated me to death about wheelie boards. But anyway, it was a funny story. Like I said, you never knew what was going to happen. That's one of those slapstick comedy moments in your movie?
I never knew what in my shelter. I won't say shelter. I was, I grew up, and my father, pastor, and but PKs are notorious for being pretty bad kids. But anyway, I want to say I was a pretty good kid, but I never heard the term that people from Rock Castle and different areas used, and I never heard the word he and she until it was called out on a shift, and I was like, Doug gets out finds a couple parking at some remote area, and he goes out with them, which would be called going 1097 on the call. Gets back on, gives the blotter the disposition on what's going on. It's like, they're 10-4. Tell them to go on. They were out here heeing and sheeing, and I'm like, I'm riding around in the crew. I don't go to the call, so I don't have an idea what's going on. So I'm on the south end. He's on the north end. And I'm like, I'm just scratching my head like, what in the world is he talking about, he and she? And it doesn't register to me. So I call Doug. I'm like, what are you talking about? What's he and she? He and she. And I was like, no.
Put it together, Travis.
I said, I'm lost. Yeah. He said, they're having sex. I was like, oh.
That was part of the fun of night shift, too, was the radio chatter was a little less professional. You still had to keep it professional, but there was a lot more you could get away with.
Well, the fun times were when the Nextel push-to-talks were out, and you would get confused on.
Yeah, you don't want to do that.
On keying up your radio on your cruiser that goes to everybody, or keying up, your Nextel.
And that happened many times.
Oh, yeah. I don't know how many.
Well, that would happen at dispatch some, too.
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember I won't name any names on this one, but it was hilarious. He had a hot mic, and one of them was aggravating the other. And it was. He said, "What was it?" He said, "I think now you're obligated now to give so and so a blowjob." And we're all going, "Hot mic, hot mic."
I remember having to write up. Somebody forgot to unkey one time, and great dispatcher, great supervisor is old Kenny.
Yeah.
Kenny was out working night shift for whatever reason, and I was out there, and he was like, where he had not worked night shifts in a while, we'd done things a little different. We had our own little way of doing business.
Yeah.
And the dispatcher didn't really appreciate the amount of work he was giving him by running a bunch of tags or whatever it was. No big deal. So before he got unkeyed, I think he called him a dumb MF or something like that. Kitty immediately starts calling all of us in. It's like, did you hear what he said? I was like, oh no. I think I had to write like a memo of what I heard. That I was like, I didn't hear nothing. I wasn't going to dime nobody out, dude. But he did. It was fun. Dispatch it's its own beast and its own weird.
It is, yeah.
Them guys are delivering babies up there sometimes.
Yeah,
and it changes. They could be up there watching, the news or something, and all of a sudden
they got somebody murdered. Somebody.
Yeah.
And a lot of times they don't get to see the resolution of it.
No.
Or we would see from start to finish everything. They would just they'd start it and then they'd be on something else.
Yeah. You speaking of dispatch, back in the early days, and I'll have to tell this, when I started, this was the pre-911 days in Rock Castle County. Of course, 911 was around, but Rock Castle didn't have that system in place. So the dispatch for the sheriff's office was in the jail. So you'd get a call, and this is true. It may be an inmate who's giving you the call in the jail.
Wow.
Oh yeah,
wow.
This is true. So you had it in the jail. And the jail back then was just a little old tiny jail, probably 15 cells, if that was as big as it was.
Same place it's at now.
Same place it is now, but it's been modernized a little bit better than what it was. But you had you walk in down the jail down a set of steps, and then when you walked into the jailer's office, there's a couch on one side and a bed on the other side. And the jailer at that time was Billy Kirby, and rest his soul. He was a great guy. I loved him to death. But he would stay there 24/7. He never left. And that's
Dedicated.
true. He had a bed, and he'd lay there on that bed. And he had a couple deputy jailers there with him. Usually there's only two there. It would be him and another deputy. And one of the deputies was Farmer York. God rest his soul. He was a great guy too. Loved him to death. But when he had to take a break, and they also had trustees in the jail. You know, you'd have 2 or 3 inmates. They'd be cleaning and doing whatever they done. But they were just out freely roaming around inside the jail. So phone would ring. They'd get a call, and you'd hear them say SO6, whatever, and it would be one of the inmates giving you the call.
That's amazing.
And
I've never heard of that.
oh yeah, that's very, very common. And we had one deputy. I won't mention his name. I don't know if he's still living or not. I believe he is. But he talked like that. You couldn't understand what he say. He was just like that all the time. But he'd give you a call, and you kind of had to cipher through what he was saying. But we had a constable who lived is in the Broadhead area, and he talked like that too. So you get those two together on the radio, back and forth, and it was comical. He talk, what going on down there? And you just sit back and laugh. I mean, you know, what can you say? And like I said, it was pretty free back in those days as far as what you said on the radio, because the sheriff would get on there and he'd say, he had a son-in-law, he'd holler and say, so-and-so, I don't care, stop by the feed mill and get me 50 pounds of corn. And it was just doing farm business on the county radio.
It's so funny.
This was, like I said, this was the early days, and it was quite comical.
I remember them talking about having call boxes and
Oh yeah,
and stopping because radios wouldn't,
Just didn't have repeaters and all that.
right.
set
So
up
you wouldn't
yet.
get them. They'd stop at a certain area.
our
and
radio
call in.
system at that point in time was very antiquated, I'll say. So if you got so far out into the county, you were
You're
on,
nothing.
I mean, you could probably do it on a mobile, because we had like 100-watt mobiles back then. We could get through, but it'd be pretty staticky. But if you was on a handheld, that was it.
In a dead zone.
And I remember when they first started 911, and it was located in the sheriff's office. The dispatch part of it was, so we had dispatchers in the sheriff's office 24/7. We had one dispatcher there. She was an older lady, smoked like a freight train, and you go in there and it looked like a bar. And she talked like that right there. Had a real, of course, I guess it's the many years of smoking.
Yeah.
Changed her voice, so to speak. But she gives me a call. SO6. Go ahead. Billy Boy Renner. Then now, I'm not going to change this. Now, Billy Boy, he wouldn't care if I told this story. But now, Billy Boy, he was a good guy, but he liked to drink. And he'd get a little drunk and he'd get a little rowdy. And, but anyway, she said, Billy Boy Renner's called up here. He wants you to come down there and pick him up. He needs to go to jail. Anyway, I've got something else going on. I said, okay, B. I said, I'll get to it when I can, but just tell him that I'll be there when I can. I've done hung up on him. I said, okay, whatever. So anyway, I'm driving on her, and next thing I know, SO6, go ahead. Oh no, prior to that, I hear her on the radio, Rockcastle SO to Billy Boy Renner. I go, what? If you're listening, call me back.
That is hilarious.
It is. Well,
Scannerland.
Yeah.
Next thing I know, SO6, go ahead. He called me back. He said, that'll be fine. He'll be waiting on you when you get there. I said, oh, great, thank you. But anyway, an hour or so later, I'll pull down the Pine Hill and pull up the little road that Billy Boy lives on there. He's standing on the side of the road. I said, what's good? I'm drunk. I said, get in. Cops in the back seat. Boy, we go to the jail.
It's like an Otis moment.
Like an Otis moment in Mayberry. And Mount Vernon was similar to Mayberry, so to speak.
Yeah.
I mean, in a small town like that, in a small county, if you've been on the job at any time, this has been on the job for a couple years when this happened.
So
or
you pretty
maybe
much knew
3
everybody.
You knew everybody.
Yeah.
And you knew who all your people were. You dealt with the same
Regulars.
crowd over and over again. It was
Yeah.
it never changed hardly. The good people you never had to fool with, but you always had the ones that
Right.
you always had to deal with. And those names constantly come up every weekend, every day.
Yeah.
But
I remember I remember when meth kind of hit our area hard. That's probably early
2000.
2000.
Yeah.
I just started policing, and we would bird dog. We would hang our heads out the windows on these fall nights like this. It's,
Get the whiff.
and you could sniff out.
Anhydrous.
Sniff out a meth lab.
We were like
yeah.
bloodhounds
Yeah,
going
yeah.
after it. And they were dangerous.
And for those of you that don't know, it smells like cat pee.
It did.
Yeah,
And
it was
so-
very
sometimes-
distinct odor.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you knew it, and you was like, you could. I remember walking out one time, and somebody, I smell meth lab, and we was at the police department. It's got to be within a mile. I mean, it depends on the wind. You just figure out the windage
Yeah.
Yeah.
and head that way.
Follow
and-
the scent.
Yeah, it was crazy.
It's
but
like
that,
a hound dog.
But the times when it was just the drinking, and smoke a little pop, maybe pop a little pill every now and then, you didn't have. Boy, meth changed a lot of
Oh, it
things.
did.
Now,
Yeah.
now
And
when I
then-
first started, all the shake and bakes were done. I mean, your bathtub dope was all pretty much done.
Yeah, you one step.
Everything was coming out of Mexico
Yeah.
or across
Well,
border.
They got wise to that, and,
Right, yeah.
and,
Well, they started-
and if people did do it, they done it way out in the
Yeah.
country.
Or they started making it on electric fences with wasp spray and
Yeah.
all kinds of stuff.
It became very, very bad. And then what happened was they were giving manufacturing 20 years.
Oh yeah,
And that really shut that down. It's like,
Yeah.
all these old cooks left, and Mexico
Took
dope
over.
started coming over.
Yeah.
And I've not seen or heard of a meth lab unless these old guys that are getting out of jail now are starting to come back and start making a little bit.
Yeah,
I've
no,
heard of that,
but
but not too bad.
it's still a prevalent drug here, but far as the manufacture of it here,
No,
it's probably not like it was in the early 2000s. I'm saying it was
Boy.
rampant.
I've not, and
Everybody and their brother had a one step.
it was all coming from somewhere
And then,
else.
and then
at this
when
point.
and
It's
when
been shipped
so
in.
meth, that, and then when the OxyContin started
Yeah.
hitting, that really changed a lot of things for
and it's
as
all
far as the
fentanyl
day.
now. It's
Yeah, now when they started handing us, that first class I went in when they were handing us the stuff to revive. What's it called? The
Narcan.
Yeah. I
I
was
was like, where are we at now?
yeah, where,
If I had a nickel
what
for
are
everybody
we
that
doing?
Narcan to my career, I could retire.
Everybody was against that. I think it was. What are we doing? Are we doctors now? Are we medical or what are we doing?
Yeah, it was
But
interesting.
if you can save a life, you save a
you should.
life,
Yeah, there's
regardless of who it is.
There's
and
been
what they've
several
done.
that were gray and gurgling. I mean, circling the drain. We hit them with that Narcan. And
Snap them out of
Yeah.
it. Yeah,
Right
bring 'em
out.
out.
What's they come out there fighting.
It
too,
was,
but,
and it's a good thing. Don't get me
Yeah.
wrong. I was,
but it
was-
changed.
It did.
I asked you about your change. When I came in 2002, graduated the academy in 2003. The first change I saw, because I'd say we kind of policed the '90s style. Y'all were our training officers. Y'all were. I think Ferguson was the first change that I saw. of,
definitely. Yes.
of how.
Yeah.
How interesting.
the
How
political
all the
side of it, yeah.
a political change, and then all eyes kind of shifted
Yes.
to that. And then you had a couple other incidents, but then it kind of moved back out. Then those officers got killed down at
Dallas. Yeah.
and that changed. Everybody liked us again. Lord, I was like,
changed
they're
the
trying to
line.
kill us with diabetes here at the police department because we were getting snacks and sweets every night.
I always said, so why can't people just bring us a regular? I mean, it wasn't like we'd get celery sticks and carrots.
Nobody brought in the veggie tray, did
Nobody
they?
brought the veggie tray in. Here's your 2 dozen donuts. Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Of course,
Well, we're appreciating Christmas time at the police department is fun because man, you'd see stuff that you've never seen in your life.
yeah.
And
It
then
was
the peanuts.
smorgasbord, baby.
Man, they
Yeah.
bring in that boxes of peanuts
And those
from
big
the.
giant baskets.
Oh, my
Yeah.
gosh.
Yeah.
Fruit
It was
baskets,
awesome.
yeah.
We'd
yeah.
let that
community
fruit
was-
get ripe, and then I'd bring in a juicer. We'd make our own juice, and it was. But the times
sometimes
policing's different. You know, you see the ups, you see the downs, you see the political things that go through, and you know, defund me and all that. You know, defund the police. All that stuff just happens, and
but
you got to
also-
ride those waves.
yes, you do. But I think the majority of the people appreciate the police. They want the police. They want the police to do their job.
Yeah.
They don't care how they do it, as long as it gets done. And you see, you know, don't get me wrong here. You got to stay within the guidelines of the law to do your job, and do it effectively. And that makes people appreciate you even more, that you do it the right way. And one bad apple
Ruins it for the whole group.
ruins it for the whole clan.
You know, though, when we've had bad apples, we've had to get rid of folks.
Oh, yeah,
You
yeah.
know, we've seen, but 99% of the people that I've ever policed with cared nothing but for this community and the people that they're serving with.
Exactly. Yeah.
You're going to have people that come in that it wasn't for them, and now, as it's changed, we still, you know, you're looking at it, you're like, man, where are the Doug Thomases now? Where are those guys that would do it for free now? I just don't think it's there right
It's
now.
not.
It's not the same career.
I think it's generational too. You've got a group that, you know, that I want to start here, but I want to be on the top.
Yeah.
It's not starting from the bottom and going up. It's, you know, a lot of them want to start at the top, but eventually they're at the bottom. Yeah. But
the bottom's where you learn most of how you police.
The bottom is where you learn most of how you
If
police.
things were the same way, I mean, it changed so much just from 2016 when I started. If things were the same way then and stayed the same, I'd love to go back in.
Yeah.
But it's a different animal.
Yeah.
And a lot
COVID.
of that's administrational. I mean, worried about lawsuits and
Yeah.
I
all
think
this
that's
other
the
stuff.
that's
And
the biggest thing it's happened is it's just
the job has not changed.
frivolous lawsuits.
Yes.
It just nowadays anybody can sue you over anything. It doesn't matter
Right.
what it is.
Yeah. But we got to have them back. We got to have
Yeah.
that. You can't. Our society would crumble without good law enforcement.
Yes.
So it's
Well,
a call.
you're
it's a
seeing that
calling.
you're seeing that in certain cities today.
Yeah.
And
Now
The
it's-
more you pigeonhole the police,
yeah,
the more
now
crime
that
and
now
everything
that
you're
they've
gonna have.
solved the error, they're wanting to
they're-
come back and we're going to have
Yeah,
to
we're
do
going to
something.
bump
here.
this up.
We're going
and
to
then-
bump this up.
I remember I started off making $9 an hour in the academy. Got on the GI Bill as OJT because I was like, man, so I was making 9 plus whatever they were giving me. I remember coming off PTO program, off the FTO, field training, and telling my wife, I'm like, we're getting ready to take a pay cut, honey. She's like, why? It's like, I don't get that GI Bill now. I made it through. She's like, well, you sure you're ready to come off training? I said, nah. I'll stay on for. They've signed my letter. I'm ready to go on my own, and you'd be like, it was scary.
Yes, it was.
Having, my first year we had my wife found out she was pregnant while I was in the police academy, and it was just like, how are we gonna make this? How are we gonna do it?
You're not going to get rich by being.
But
a
I
police
loved it.
officer.
No, not it.
I loved it. I
Not
don't
unless you
regret.
go into the federal sector somehow.
Yeah,
and then,
maybe. Yeah.
But
Even then,
then-
it's
yeah.
it's
But now I don't regret. I had a great career. I tell everybody, if you boil down the 20 years I spent at London, I only really had 6 months of that time was unpleasant.
Right.
And that was my last 6 months having to, wearing the hat of the chief. But that was just a different beast in itself. Just that side and that time. But I never regretted. Never had a.
no.
Yeah, if you look
It's like,
back,
man,
there's always more good than there was bad. But
I always wanted to do the job. I wanted to be a Marine when I first, growing up. That's what I wanted. When I was like, I'm not going to make a career out of this. Now what? I remember thinking, well, police is something close to it. The camaraderie, the brotherhood, sister, all that kind of things. The esprit de corps, if you will. that they have, and it is true. When you do the things that we've had to do and see the things that we've had to see, there's no, there's a bond that's built there working the night shifts and doing those things. So,
Yeah, you had your in the police department night shift. The night squad I always thought was the closest of the shifts. I mean, as far as camaraderie goes, they were closer to each other than maybe day shift. No.
Yeah, day shift.
It's a different.
There was
like
more time spent together, and then there was more trauma bonding, I guess is what you'd call it.
Yeah.
Day shift seemed like it was more, calls for service, more accident reports, and more theft reports, more the
you never had the time to really bond, other than and there was rules set in place, and I don't agree with it, but they wanted you as a group, especially on day shift, one or two to go to lunch at the same time.
Yeah.
One or two. You never got to get together as a group and just have your
and
lunch.
that was
team
a nightly
building
ritual on night shift.
Night
Everybody
shift
went
ate
to eat.
together because, and then not only would the police department come together, it'd be the sheriff's office and state police.
Yeah.
And it was nothing to, have them guys,
one big family.
Yeah. And that's what it was. Night shift had that special spot in that not a lot of people wanted it. I would much rather have a night shift than a second shift anytime.
Oh,
a second shift animal
Oh man.
is just running call to call, domestic or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Those guys, I feel sorry
Especially in our town.
for. Yeah. That was a good spot to put a rookie.
Yeah. If you want to learn policing,
to learn how to police
you want to
and
learn how
answer
to
calls.
police, second shift's the shift to be on.
Absolutely.
When we went to those 12-hour shifts, I think it got, the night shift coming out 6 in the evening. You kind of got
a taste of that, didn't you? Yeah.
But you was able to unwind.
The
and chill
Panama
out.
12s were great.
Yeah.
I mean, that 6 to 6 I thought was awesome.
Yeah, it was a good shift. I thought
Because you were busy from about 6 to 10 or 11, and then after that you were free to create your own activity or do what you wanted to do. And then if something did come out after midnight, it was usually, all hell broke loose, or it was something that's going to be, worth your time and efforts and everything.
I remember them putting. I think I'd made sergeant at the sheriff's office, and they put me on the day shift, 6 in the morning to 2 in the afternoon. Oh no, I think we went to 10-hour shifts, so it was like 6 to 4, and I said, "Wow, man, this is going to be." I thought to myself, I don't know if I can do this, but yeah, it all fell into place, and day shift was it was. I had 2 good deputies, Spanky and Chig, and great guys. Don't get me; they're great guys. Love them to death, and they do anything for me, and I do anything for them. But yeah, we had a good time on the first shift. We started Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday was our days to work, and I remember I was on a call. And I think Chigger took off that day, so it was maybe just me and Spanky. We even at Laurel County, they may be just 2 deputies on the shift at one time.
And Laurel went. Well, we got about 75,000 people living in Laurel.
Oh yeah,
County,
every
or
bit
more.
of it. Yeah.
So
In
it's
the
a whole
upper-
lot bigger than where you started at Rock
yeah.
Castle County.
So I'm in Corbin, and I hear Spanky holler, "I need some assistance out here on Dixon Branch," which, if you know where Dixon Branch is, it's the far end. You're at the Jackson Clay line in Laurel County, and I'm 20 miles away.
Right.
So I'm hollering, and I holler at the PD if they can go down there and assist. And I think they sent a couple units. But anyway, I still wound up beating the city units too. Well, I pull up in the driveway, and Spanky's got this guy up on the porch, and they're he and hawing back and forth. And I seen him grab that radio. 11:23, where you at? I said, I'm looking at you. Just like that. He wheels around, and when he does that, this guy takes off into the house. Well, Spanky takes off after him. So I get out, we run in the house, and we run out the back door, and there's a big tobacco wagon in the back, sitting back there. Well, we're running around this tobacco wagon, and Spanky's got his ass back, and he's whacking him in the legs and hitting him like that. He says, get down, get down. And they just keep going around and around and around. I said, good Lord. Finally, we get him cornered up and get him cuffed up. And PD shows up, and I'm oblivious at this time about what's around me because we're trying to deal with this guy. And
Probably dizzy from watching them
oh,
run in
yeah,
circles.
Yeah. Anyway, this guy was a bad actor. He had done some terrible things to his mother. I won't mention what happened, but it wasn't good. And he's the guy who
Yep.
castrated himself inside the jail with a soup can lid or something in that nature.
Bad, yeah.
So
Not just a bad actor, mentally.
yeah. He really needed help beyond anybody could imagine. But the supervisor from the PD comes around there and he said, what are you going to do with that? And I said, what are you talking about? That wagon. I looked on the wagon, and it just piled high full of marijuana. I said, oh, God. This can't get no worse than what it is.
Always happens.
Yeah, that's what always happens.
Yeah,
Yes. I
there's
said,
always
oh,
something.
my God, it can't be. I mean, there's like 500 stalks of marijuana laying on top of this tobacco wagon, drying out or whatever it is.
Yeah.
I said, we're going to pile it up, and we're going to burn it right over there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we took samples of it. Of course, you had to take samples, send it off to the lab, whatnot. But anyway,
evidence,
we burn it right on the spot. But like I said, you just never know what you're going to get into when you get those calls. I mean,
And then they immediately went to Taco Bell.
yeah. Oh, they'll go eat. But, yeah.
Oh.
Back in the day, I remember finding a bucket on the side of a city road. And back then, you used to call the late great Eddie Sizemore up and be like, "Hey, listen, I found this," and I guess he was doing stuff with the Forest Service or whoever,
Yeah.
and they would claim that stuff. So I would never mind finding a pot patch or a pot plant because Eddie would take it, and he said, "That's a strange looking mater plant." I was like, yeah. But I remember taking somebody on a call. We went and got a warrant on the guy making threats, and I had a rookie with me. I was training. It's Patrick, and I was training him. We roll up, and I used that line from Eddie. We were out there arresting that guy, and I look over, and there's a marijuana plant growing up in there. I said, "That's a strange looking tomato plant you got there." And they used to see the blood drain from their faces, and Patrick's like, "That ain't a tomato plant." I said, "I know, buddy." Said, "You got your cultivating case now." Happy
Here it
birthday.
is. That was the big thing back in my day.
Yeah.
Early 90s was marijuana.
Oh yeah, I mean,
And it was.
you lived the Copperhead Road basically song. I mean, you've seen the
That goes to show you how
moonshining
much-
to the
Seen the
pot-
transition from marijuana to what was that pill that everybody took back then? It was Tylox.
Tylox. Yeah.
Big drug. I mean, it was a major drug for.
It was like the Oxy back then.
like the
huh?
Oxy back in that day. But I remember you talking. I'll tell a story here. It's kind of off what we've been talking about, but I'm cruising down Copper Creek Road. When you said Copperhead, it's made me think of that. But I'm down Copper Creek Road, and this is way up in the morning, probably 2 or 3 o'clock. And I got a CB in my car. Everybody back then had CBs in their cars because of I-75, and you leave it on the trucker channel. I think it was Channel 19 back in that day. And I was sitting going down.
Breaker 19.
Yeah, Breaker 19. Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, I hear this just racket, and it's bleed over on the Channel 19 from another channel because the channel width was so close to each other that it would bleed over to the other channel. So I start flipping through the channels when I get to then all of a sudden it comes up clear. I can hear what they're saying. Well, this guy's these two guys are cussing each other, saying they're going to whoop each other's hind ends. They're going to do this. They're going to do that, and this MF or this and SOB this, and it's just constant, just bickering. Well, I'm sitting there. I pulled into the little church lot there. I'm sitting there listening to it. I said, they're drunk. And this guy, his handle on the radio was Monkey Man. Never will forget it. He says, this guy said, Monkey Man, I'm going to beat your hiney, and you meet me at so-and-so. Anyway, I get on and I grab that mic. I'm thinking to myself, I knew who Monkey Man was. I knew this guy. I knew who he was. And he was a drunk. He was just an old tush hog from Rockcastle County.
Yeah.
So I get on break. It's silence. They've quieted down. I said, Monkey Man, go ahead. I said, you're making a lot of racket on here, causing a lot of turmoil. I said, I'm getting tired of it. Well, he commenced on me. He said, well, you son of a, you know what? He just starts cussing. I said, you meet me here at Cup's Chapel Church and I'll show you what I'll do. He said, I'll be right there. I said, okay. I hang up the radio. About 15 minutes later, see headlights. Van pulls into the parking lot. And I'm kind of sitting off to the side of the church. And he pulls in. I think that's it. I mean, I'm not sure at this point in time, but the vehicle pulls into the church lot. Well, I pulled out the side and put my spotlight into his windshield. Looked like a man looking at a ghost. He said, oh, Lord. Got my blue lights on then. I get out. I walk up there. I said, what are you doing out here cruising around at this time of night? I said, I'm down here checking the church, make sure there ain't nothing going on.
Yeah.
He said, I got to go to the store for Mommy. Okay. I said, going to the store for Mommy? I said, well, what store's open at 2 o'clock in the morning here? Oh, we got to have some milk. I said, okay. I said, you been drinking? He said, I've had one or two. I said, okay, step out. I get him out, run him through sobriety, give him a PBT, and he's like a .20. I said, sorry.
Well over.
Sorry, brother, but I'm about to place you under arrest. But now, that's the kind of thing you ran into.
What it's set up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It wasn't, huh?
I love it.
Anyway.
I love it.
Yeah. I get him in the cruiser, and then I get him cuffed up, and man, he goes off the deep end, starts cussing me, calling me everything in the world, saying he's gonna do this, he's gonna do that.
He figure out. Did you tell him?
Oh no.
He's like, I set you up, buddy.
No.
I got you down here.
No,
Yeah.
but
They're tough.
he
when they get cuffed.
wound up pleading guilty to DUI.
That's funny.
That wasn't the only incidents with him. We had several others later on, but
He
I
was
love it.
regular.
he was a regular.
Man, there ain't nothing. I was still in training, and I remember getting in a fight down at the trailer hood with some people. You know, they threatened to call the law on me. Somebody call the police. We're like, we are the police.
Yeah.
Just stop.
I've had that happen to me too. We were on a call at a search warrant, and this guy was a pretty big drug dealer, and his boy was probably 18 or 19 years old, but he was involved with his daddy. They were big drug dealers. They sold anything from marijuana to tie locks. I mean, like I said, the meth hadn't come into play at that point in time. But anyway, we're coming around the back. Well, this guy runs out the back. Me and a trooper are there. And he runs out the back and jumps over the deck, and well, we snatch him up. And we're trying to get him cuffed up. He's trying to fight with us, blah, blah, blah. And we're kind of doing what we need to do to get him subdued to get the cuffs on him. Well, this lady comes out the back door. She's just screaming at us. She said, you better leave him alone. I'm going to call the state police. Like that. And the trooper looks up. I am the state police. But anyway, we get him cuffed up. It was funny.
I love it.
Yeah, they was just constantly. You had things going on, and like I said, it's like a movie. You have comedy, you have everything in the world involved in it.
It's a tragedy.
It's
It's a drama.
It is.
You've got,
and you had to be everybody. You had to be the counselor. You had to be the parent.
You had a lot of different hats to wear.
You had a lot of different hats to wear, and
Some of my favorite times, going back to the night shift stuff, especially around Halloween or something stupid. I was listening to Coast AM with
George Norrie or Art Bell.
Yep,
Yeah.
and I'm sure they still come on somewhere. I'm sure Art's probably dead, but
He is.
But I remember us listening to these haunted, stupid stories and having. You listen to that? I called Doug. Are you listening to this? Hey, yeah. Where you at?
You get yourself scared.
Oh, I'd scare myself, and we'd have to go somewhere where it's daylight. Go back to the police department, go to the Walmart parking lot where they have street lights that are shining bright.
Exactly.
Like, scare
You don't want to go
yourself.
down the dark alley, dude.
Oh,
I
no.
know.
Do it every night though. Oh my gosh.
That reminds me of a story that Darrell Zanet, which is a great guy, and he needs to be here.
Yeah, we'll have.
We'll
it.
get
Got to
these-
have Darrell.
We'll get DZ on here.
Yeah.
at
You
some
got to
point
have it.
in time.
He had
his
this
story
little. But anyway, he gives. There's a call comes out on 1956, way down near the Rock Castle Laurel line. There's an old quarry down there, and these people are camping or something. Anyway, they call and say there's somebody prowling around, or they see a stranger, and so I'm in East Bernstadt or somewhere. But Darrell's he goes down there. Well, Darrell, don't stay long. He hollers at me, said, "Huh, I got him out of there. I'm not going back down there." I said, well, "What's going on?" He said, "I saw somebody like Jeepers Creepers down there." I said, "Oh my Lord!" Anyway, I go and I meet him, and I get up to where London Auto Sales is. Know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Out of Hawk Creek area. I pull up and Darrell pulls up there. I said, "They leave?" He said, "Yeah, they're gone." I said, "Did you see anything?" He said, "No." I said, "Well, let's go back." He said, "I'm not going back down there." I said, "Okay." Well, I said, "Well, I'll drive down there." Well, I get down there and I turn into where you go to the quarry. And I get turned in, and I think, if they're gone and ain't nobody down here, there's no need for me to be here.
Right.
So that feeling come over me. Well, there is a guy down here that looks like Jeeper. I don't want to see him. So I turn around and come back. I said, "Well, yeah, you talked me out of it, darling.
Yep.
There's no need to investigating something that,
I really believe. Yeah, our area is old, and there's a lot of history here.
Oh, yeah.
All those little skirmishes and battles from Civil War stuff. We've seen some things.
Oh, yeah.
Things that are unexplained.
The unexplained.
I've never have seen Sasquatch, by the way.
Listen, we'll have to have Jesse.
I got that on your last podcast, yeah.
You never know.
I look.
In
Don't get me wrong,
yeah.
I've looked,
Oh,
but I've
yeah.
never have seen.
I've looked too. The closest we've came to a Sasquatch, I think, was when Jesse.
The Mill Creek Monster.
I don't know about that one.
Oh, yeah, that's Jesse.
Well,
The one down at not Mill Creek, but, yeah, Mill Street.
Mill Street Monster. Oh my gosh, yes. We got to have him on here to tell
You
that
got
story.
to.
We'll
Yeah,
get
yeah.
we'll get him on here.
But
for that.
Yeah.
see, all that stuff was going on in the Mill Street, right there, close to our house. When he
Yep.
lived there close,
Oh, yeah.
I
Right,
lived
well,
right there.
within
yeah,
a
real
few
close
hundred
to the police
yards of the
department.
PD.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we have this sighting, and Jesse has a dream. He tells me the next day, he's man, I had a dream last night about Sasquatch. I was like, what? He said Sasquatch was walking by my house, which was close to my side of the house. We were neighbors about a quarter mile, but
Is
there
that
was
when
nothing in
was he
between.
living up at the
He was
college?
living up at the college.
Okay.
He said, I'll reach over to shoot this Bigfoot. And I look over, and Bigfoot's carrying a big, long, dirty, hairy-looking 44 Magnum. Started shaking his head, no. He said, you don't want none of this. It just walked off on basically the patty walk, the blurry look,
yeah.
just off into the woods. It's that bad. I was like, so that Mill Street Monster or whatever
Yeah.
freaked him out.
It did, yeah. Because I pulled up to him, I said, what's going on here? You don't want to know.
We'll have to have Derek on here talking about some ghost stories too.
Oh, yeah.
Me and Derek saw some things that we can't explain.
Unexplained.
So we'll do that.
Yeah.
There's some
We've got a
fun
lot
stuff
more
we've
guests,
done.
and I think we'll probably have to do another episode with Doug.
Oh, yeah,
I think
Doug
We've,
needs
we've
to
not,
be on
we've
yeah.
not got into half the
no,
story.
I'm-
that
No,
I
we got
wanted to
we
set
got
him up
way
for.
more. We can set up some stuff and
But yeah, we're at about an hour and a half now.
Okay, yeah.
So yeah,
I need to go because I've got a Walmart or a Kroger pickup.
Oh yeah, you can't be late for that.
And the wife would get on to me if I didn't get that Kroger
Absolutely.
pickup.
She
perfect.
would.
So we'll see y'all next time. Thanks for joining us. We really appreciate you being here. Doug.
Good to be here. Thank you.
Well, definitely, we'll make this you're welcome anytime.
I appreciate it.
Maybe a recurring guest. Stay with us.
Just out of jurisdiction, left